Hello, it's Tina Marie. Thank you so much for spending time here with me. And I really appreciate you and your desire for growth and your desire for bettering yourself in your life. What I'd love to have a conversation about today on Light Your Life, which, as you know, is a podcast dedicated to that self development, personal growth, and some insights that we can each apply to our lives in new ways so that we can reach those results, those outcomes that our heart and our soul desires. So, what was coming through today was I wanted to share what I call the journey of value. And it underpins the value we have in ourselves and what people perceive of us, and then also how we transfer that in our world, typically with money. So, what I love to talk about is my experience and my story, and my want is that it helps you. As you know, I am a coach, and I wasn't always a coach. Before I was a coach, I had an integrative medical practice with doctors where you'd come in and we'd take hair analysis and saliva analysis and do testing on the body to help with digestive or different chronic illnesses. And, nutrition was a big part of that. And then before that, I was the vice president of a technical consulting firm where we put in large systems like SAP and Bond and JD Edwards and Oracle in large organizations, major top 100 companies around the world, and governments and things of that nature. And so my past hasn't always been with the sit down with a client right across from me, have a coaching session. It's pretty relatively new since 2009. And so my studies and my degrees prior to becoming a coach was really based on business, technology, understanding how to bring service to a person and transact that with a value of money that was typically determined by someone else based on market demands. And so whenever I became a coach and I was a solopreneur, it was a brand new world. I'm selling myself. And selling myself wasn't something I'd ever had to do or had done at all. And so understanding how to value me and how to price myself to another human being felt very awkward, very unsteady. And even though I had some mentors around me and they were helping me with that language and that communication, they weren't in the room with me whenever I was selling life coaching to my prospective client. And so I know many of you out there, solopreneurs, can absolutely relate because when we are the product, we have to be our own salesperson. And sometimes that is hard. So the communication I had to do inside my own mind is to map what is my true value to my end client. And the only way for me to really know was to ask my end client. And the way I did this was to find out what was the biggest challenge or obstacle in their own life that they were needing to surmount, surpass, move through, break through. And what would that value be on the other end of that? Whenever that obstacle or challenge or problem set were now provided with a solution, they're on the other side of it. What would life then be like? And have them tell me that story. And once they connected with that, I'd say, well, what would that value be to you in a monetary figure? Now, if we're talking to business owners, that you can ask that proverbial question. So what's one client worth to you? It's easy for them to do the internal math. One client buys my widgets or my services for this amount, and when they pay me, then one client is worth that amount of money. Whenever we're talking about relationship issues, when we're talking about just simple self-esteem, self-confidence, being able to have your own backbone, keep your word to yourself, find your own personal goals, and have an accountability partner toward making progress. How do you create value out of that? What does that equate to whenever you ask that client, so what's the value of that to you? The client can also feel like it's an ambiguous figure. So we would want to, what I did is I helped them understand, if you weren't ever to reach that goal, if you weren't ever to experience that thing that you most want, that breakthrough, that challenge is gone, that problem has been solved, or that new experience that you've never been able to do on your own, and now you're going to have the support and you're going to get there, what is that going to be worth to you? Instead of that approach, I would say, how painful will it be if you never reached it? What would that feel like if you go your entire life, or at least let's say the next 10 years, and you don't reach that goal? You do not make that happen. What's that going to cost you? And usually they can put a cost to pain a lot easier than they could put a cost to pleasure or cost to the actual success in their life. And at the very early stages, whenever I was doing this, it felt so bad that I was pushing on their pain. I'm like, well, what if you ever never did it? What if you just kept breaking your word to yourself? And what I realize is that is a perspective that we need to hold, right? We need to have that. What's the worst case scenario? And what would that pain look like? So early on in my coaching, and many of us get to this place where we are service providers and we do things for free so that we can get the experience, because it's kind of hard to say, hey, I'm this thing without ever having been that thing yet. So there was a period of time, I think it was maybe 4 weeks, where I had, let's say, 8 to 9 free clients, and I gave them each 2 sessions, and I was getting my feet wet, like I was learning how to swim without my floaties. And so I was doing that and taking internal notes, building my own methodologies. What works for me in note taking? What works for me in follow up? What works for me and the client participation and the cadence of a session? And even though I had training, I wanted to apply that training and see what really fit with my own personality. So I went through the free period of time. And I'm very proud that, pat myself on the back, that I moved through that pretty rapidly. And then I went to, and my spouse, if she happens to be listening to this, she's probably going to laugh because of how far I've come. But my first coaching package was $333 a month, and they got 4-hour sessions, 4 hours for $333 a month. Now, if you're a newbie coach and you've never charged money, you may be thinking, wow, that's a great low price there. I chose the number 333 because I love 333. It's one of my favorite numbers in the whole world. And, we won't get into that. It's been with me since I was a kiddo. And so I launched on my favorite number. And I did that for way too long. I should have increased my prices, but I didn't. I was at that price for maybe 18 months. Truth be told, maybe longer. And I was full. I had so many wonderful clients. I love my clients. And some of the clients that are still with me today were back then. So I can tell you that whenever you raise your rates, which I'm about to share with you, whenever you raise your rates, the ideal client will stay with you and they understand the value, because that's what this is about, right? This is the journey of value. Whenever we provide the value to our clients, they will more than be happy to pay that. And so the 333, and I was doing it month to month. Now I do a minimum of a 6-month contract. And the truth is, for my executives, I have a minimum of a year. And so from 333 for 4 sessions in a month, which was a lot, I built up my books, and I had, at one point, I had 43 clients on the books, way, way too many. That was crazy making. I was insane. And trying to get my balance back and my life back. I remember thinking, why am I coaching so hard? This is crazy. And be careful what you wish for, right? It was me. I created that abundance, and I also created that problem set of creating boundaries and getting my life back as a coach. So that was a long time ago. So that was back in 2011 and 2012. And so here we are to 2022. And so my rates now are $1,000 a session. And that's not an overnight thing. I went to 500, I went to 700, I went to 800. And I had this wonderful coach out of Australia, Fabrice. If Fabrice is listening, he's probably shaking his head, because there was one point, I think it was in 2016, where he said, you need to be a minimum of 1,250 a month and you need to be working for 2 sessions in that month, and that's it. And I just could not get myself there. I was like, my value. What do you know? Like I needed to feel really great within my soul that I was going to be providing the value to my client to warrant that fee. And so I've done my personal work. I've done it, and I've seen and I've inventoried my value. So I want to give you some of the things that I've done to get to that value journey, right? To get to that place where I go, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I know the value that it has for my clients, and I can firmly stand upon that and deliver again and again and again and again. And so, three things that people will pay for. One, if you can help them save time. If we can save time, well, that's our biggest asset, isn't it? We cannot recreate time. So, whenever we can help our clients save time, that is such a blessing. And then, whenever we obviously can help them save money. So, if our approach and our coaching can help them not waste time nor money, then those are very great benefits to their lives and oftentimes to their businesses and to their relationships and to their own mental thinking, right? And then also there's a third. We can help them save pain. Not that we can change the course of anybody's destiny, nor can we make the decision for people as coaches and oftentimes as service providers. The best you can do is give your best advice, and we know this. People have to adopt it and put it into play for themselves. However, saving someone pain, like helping them not have that train wreck that you have been through, that is so valuable, right? They don't even know. Sometimes we don't know what we missed out on as far as pain because we've partnered with the right people and they've helped us navigate those stormy waters. So those three things are reasons why people will pay you for your time, your service, and your wisdom, your experience. So here's an exercise you can use for yourself to inventory your value. Is I want you to take a piece of paper, take your journal out. I want you to, or for those that are digital, take out your computer, and I want you to inventory what are the things you've been through? What are the hardships? You have surmounted a lot. So the worst parts of your life are the blessings for someone else. So what are those things that you've been through, that you've surmounted, that you're wiser now because you're on the other side of it? Then also, where have you succeeded? Have you built up a business? Have you built up a brand? Have you built a team? Have you directed a project? What have you done to create success and growth and contribution in your life? Give it projects you've worked on, give it people that you have worked alongside. And then also look at your network. Who do you know? Who do you have in proximity near you that could be of value to someone else? And this is true value, true proximity, as opposed to someone who's just on your LinkedIn friends list or on your friends list somewhere. These are people you really know. So your network, the depth of your network and the depth of the people you can call on to help somebody get to the next level and the next stage in their lives, right? So all of these things are of amazing value. And so I'd love for you to inventory your value. What do you truly bring? And please do not be shy. Sometimes our mind will say, well, everybody's been through that. Everybody's done that kind of stuff. No, not everybody. And it's still part of your value. So even if, let's take, for example, something fun. So I've been to multiple international cities and I've traveled abroad a lot, and I know airports and I know cities and I know hotels and I know like the little secret behind the scenes things you can do to get into places that aren't publicized. And there was one client and she wanted to be a world traveler. And so I'm like, let's do it. That sounds like fun. So one of my value assets for this client was I not only knew people, I knew how to get behind the scenes and VIP experiences. I knew how to do things with government that isn't publicized. I knew the best ways to get into a business class setting without having to pay the upgrade. I knew what to really take on trips and what to not take on trips. And so all these things were a savings of time and money for her and an increase of the experience overall, because she would have never been able to know how to get to the top of, let's say, the Empire State's Building without going through the line, or how to make your own homemade caramel in a French bakery behind the scenes and work with the chefs one-on-one. So there were different things that I could bring, and I didn't even know that these were of value. Put it on your list. Put the cool things on your list. Why? Because that avatar client's going to find you just because you claimed it. You claimed it. You claimed your good. You claimed your awesomeness, and that avatar client's going to find you. Now, if you're operating your business, and I'm using myself as a coach as an example, but not everybody here is a coach, right? You're going to have your value. If you're the CEO or the president of your firm, you're going to have absolute value. Think outside the box, outside of your client base, and realize that your network is one of your greatest assets every day, all day long as a business owner. And think like not your competition necessarily, but a potential partner that you could either launch a new business or a new brand with, or bring a new service offering to your current clients and deepen those relationships. Because the end of the game is being about service and contribution to other people. That's why we do what we do. That's where our heart and our soul fills up. And so ask yourself this question: what brings your clients joy? And if you do not yet know, you get to run a poll, like send out an email and have a poll that goes out to your clients. And it's real simple. It's I'm conducting a poll of all of our clients. Thank you so much for being a wonderful client of my company. I really appreciate you and value you. And this one question, I'd love to know more. And if it's one sentence, great. If it happens to be an entire paragraph or an entire page, I will read all of these personally. And this is the question that I want to ask you, my dear client: what brings you joy in your life? And then let the data come in. And I want you to really take in what the people that the people who utilize your services, what do they share with you? Because this is gold. Once you understand what brings your clients joy, you can create a culture around that inside your company. You can create a service line around that, and you can definitely create connection with your clients. And that's what makes this wonderful world go round, right? And so whatever brings them joy, it's going to be your place to help them get to that place sooner and to experience it even more. So this has been the journey of value. We first need to completely own the value we bring, and that starts with an inventory of all of our awesomeness, even the things that we think, well, everybody can do that. Maybe not. And then also being inquisitive for those people that we want to serve and finding out what brings them joy and how can you help them get there sooner by saving them time, money, and definitely pain. And so thank you for being on this journey with me today. I hope you had some beautiful nuggets, some takeaways that were of value. And thank you so much for being a subscriber and a follower of the Light Your Life podcast. Without you, we would not be doing this. So please do share this with people you love. Just think of 2 people right now. Think of 2 people that I think they would love this too. Just go ahead and send them the link. And that's how we all grow. And I want to hear from you. So simply pop over to bonfirecoaching.com and find a way on our contact page to leave us a note, or here on this podcast where you found it, there's a place for comments. Leave us comments. I want to read your comments. I want to get to know you. And if you are connected to us on our Facebook group at the Bonfire Inner Circle, then give a shout out for this podcast and, invite some more awesome people just like you to this group so that we can expand the reach that we all have for positivity and growth and contribution in a world that definitely deserves it. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Until next time, Tina Marie, Saints here, checking out.